I'm Maria Menounos, and you're tuned in to AfterBuzz TV, the ESPN of TV talk. Now, let the buzz begin.
Hello, and welcome to AfterBuzz TV's after show panel for Penny Dreadful City of Angels. We are talking episode 2, Dead People Lie Down. And before we get all into it, you guys, please tell me your overall thoughts. Brian.
A lot happened in this one. I said in our 60-second review, I was trying to do other things, but I couldn't get myself to do other things because there was so much happening in the show and I didn't want to miss anything. Such a good episode. So many people. We got new characters, saw more of our old characters. Super excited to get into it. And in the end, Dominic Sherwood, Shadowhunters, love him. So excited to see him again. Can't wait to see more of him.
How about you, Adam? What do you think?
I think this episode was absolutely fantastic. It's the second episode going into this new series. We're dealing with the battle of the soul of Los Angeles, Detective Vega. We're dealing with solving this murder mystery, which is very clearly set up. I love everything that was going on. And yeah, I mean, this is one of those things. It's a very cool thing for an after show, because if I wasn't doing the after for this, I would still be watching the show. So that's how much I really loved what was going on. Can't wait to discuss.
Tori, how about you?
This episode definitely started to add some context. I remember you guys last episode, I was like, I don't know what's going on. Like, I'm still trying to piece it together. But I think, the show writers heard my cry, because this started to add like a little bit more depth. We get to see like the character development, how the characters overlap, how they're interacting with each other. So that was really cool to see. And now I'm starting to like piece together the plot. So just super excited to see the rest of the series.
Absolutely. I think we got a lot of answers and a lot of questions to this in this episode, and let's just dive into it. We'll get to our special segment and our news later on, but first, I don't like to start off with such a heavy topic, but I just felt like, I mean, it's very in our face in this show, the racism, which again is a very heavy topic, and I'm sorry to start off with this one, but it is just so prevalent, and literally I felt like every scene we experience it. And every time I see it, I either cry or at least get misty. And it just really kills me. And it's like, even like the slightest, it can be so subtle or so in your face. Like when the officer spits on Tiago, or even when they go to talk to the lady, what's her freaking name? Miss Adelaide at that church. And she just won't even answer his questions like straight up until Lewis has to ask for him.
She takes the card, she throws it down at his feet, just kind of like,
come
on.
The worst.
He's a cop. He's a cop. Like,
it pains me so much to watch it. And so I kind of wanted to see like what parts of that, or how you guys felt about it, or what stood out to you. Adam, please.
My mind goes a little grotesque as well, because when I see stuff like that, especially by the cops, I'm always just thinking, wow, I wish there were body cams right now. I wonder what else we're not seeing that is just going unreported this whole time. And completely, it helps make it so that people never want to talk to cops or trust cops. Like, that's kind of, you tend to think that, oh, this is back then. Everything was really racist. It's black and white. It's terrible. And then you're kind of going, no, we're still dealing with a lot of these similar problems today. It's just another group. It's another group that's being made to feel inferior, that's being made to put down, that's being told you weren't born here, you don't belong here, you're not a quote unquote American. I really felt just right off the bat with how the episode started with Detective Vega looking at his brother. First off, the fact that the brother's still alive, he took a bullet to the head, which I don't know how many people would have that happen. But the fact that his mom and sister, are both praying for him, and they're like, look what the cops did to your brother. And then his little brother Mateo comes over and he's like, I saw what you did, and if he dies, you're out of the family. So just this whole feeling of, I got to tell you, I think especially since quarantine, tell me how you guys feel, but I think it's very easy to relate to a feeling of like just everything's overwhelming and everything's too much. And but what did you guys feel seeing that? I just thought the whole family dynamic, it just seems to make it that much more, it heightens the stakes, that if he can't solve this murder, his family may or may not, hang in the balance for good or better for worse.
For sure. Yeah. The racism part that really stuck out to me was at the soda machine. that one really like
Ugh.
shook me to my core.
We'll talk about that scene. That
Yeah.
was crazy.
Okay, awesome. We'll talk about that. But yeah, like that was just one that really stuck out to me in the whole aspect. Like he was like in his face. And I like to go on a positive note, I'm hoping that something comes out of those two because I saw a little bit of spark there. Maybe just because I'm gay and I'm reaching. I don't know.
No,
But
I was right there with you. I was
like, what am I
"Ooh, there's
seeing here? I
some-
hope I'm seeing something.
There's some thick tension up in this soda machine."
Yes. I was like, give me a Coke. I want to watch it all go down.
So,
Oh damn!
Crazy.
How about you, Tori?
I'm going to be like extremely honest,
No,
and
please.
none of it really shook me. If I'm going to be like completely honest, like none of the like it didn't phase me. And this series is pretty like I don't want to say like gruesome, but like you said, it's kind of like rip the Band-Aid off. Like nothing is really held back or sugar coated or anything. It's a lot going on. Not for the weak stomach at all. But when it came to the racist part, I think if I'm being honest, I think I'm immune to it. I don't know if it's because I'm just so used to seeing it on the screen, or it's because I had to watch Roots when I was at a tender age, so like that stuff that was ripping the Band-Aid off for me. So certain things like they don't really shake me or they don't come as a surprise. Like I don't really like have any hate towards like any character because I don't expect any like revenge to come from it or any justice or anything like that. And that honestly could just be like I don't know if I'm thinking about it in a too like realistic lens, but I think that now when I see things like that on TV or on the screen, it really doesn't like, you would think I didn't miss a beat. Like it doesn't bother me. And a part of me like is bothered by the fact that I'm not bothered, or the fact that like it doesn't do anything for me. But I was looking, I was like, yeah, expected. Like everything just kind of went as I expected it to go. So it was interesting to watch, and it's really interesting to hear you guys like observations to those things because it's really like emphasizing how I feel.
Well, that's like nail on the head because it's I think what is shocking about it is its lack of shock, and I completely agree. It's like that's what made it so upsetting, and at least for me, what I was so upset because like granted, this is oh my gosh, I can't even say this is almost 100 years ago, like 90, 80 years ago. And obviously things were worse then, but it's like something that I was realizing was like, we're in our day and age now, and we're seeing these things being represented from a time period before. And it's like, it hasn't really changed. And that's what's so jaw dropping is that we're still seeing this. And like, what was killing me was like, oh my God, Councilman Townsend was like, oh, 4 cops died today, and this is the most in LA, da 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 da. But then we see that scene where Detective Santiago like is walking to the hospital and he sees a room where there's like at least 8 dead Chicano bodies that aren't being reported on. I was like, this is so. I mean, like it's not shocking, but the fact that it's not shocking is what makes it so hard. And so that was just something I wanted to touch on because it made me very just emotional. Like I was very sad for everything and everyone, and it. I don't know, maybe it's just too relatable and puts me in a place of like the world is awful.
Yes.
And sorry, I don't mean to laugh, but it's like if I don't laugh, I'm gonna cry. So it's like
yeah, I feel that.
It's just a little too real. But that kind of brings me to one, not necessarily a huge point, but something that Detective Tiago, I feel like in every scene he's just always holding back tears. Like he's always like his nostrils are flaring or he's choking up. Like he's always like ready to cry. And I think it's part of his maybe like machismo, like he's not going to cry. And then we finally do see him break down on the stairs, and then the same thing with his brother. And that was just kind of which goes into the scene you were saying, Brian, at the soda machine where his brother Mateo finally had a moment to walk away and just like let it go, like not let it go, but let himself release that horrible pain that he's feeling. And he's interrupted by the cops for yet another horrible interaction. And there's so much to be said about that scene. So Brian, tell us why it stuck out to you so much.
Yeah, and I think it was really just like because I feel like with the first interaction with Tiago, like it was more just like a like ashamed kind of thing. Like he was just getting in his face more like angry. But like with Mateo was definitely like very more like intimidating. Like he was really trying to like instill like this fear inside of him, which he obviously did, of course, especially him being so much younger. So that was what really stuck out to me. Like I could feel like Mateo's fear and like what he was going through already from all things happening with his family, you know, with his brother. And then to have this right in front of him as well, and all these different emotions he's feeling, I felt that all portrayed. And then we just did a whole 180 with the guy coming in, and I was like feeling the spark. So I don't know what's gonna happen there. But yeah, that was what was happening for me.
It was
Adam,
definitely
please.
it was definitely a pretty cool moment. We meet a new character, Fly Rico. Rico
Fly
for
Rico.
short.
He was pretty
who-
fucking fly. Oh, excuse me. He
Yeah,
was fly.
He's pretty fly. Hey, it's okay. There was some hardcore sex scenes in this show. I think our audience is ready for a little F-bomb. But it's the fact that this guy was willing to take out a knife in front of 4 cops and kind of just say, "I'll do whatever I want." And I wrote down the line too, where the cop says, "There's 4 of us, pal," and he says, "There's a city of me." Great line. So I think this new guy, Fly Rico, obviously, I think this is going to become a new older brother figure for Mateo, because he might be completely disgusted with his brother now for shooting his older brother. So I feel like he's lost. He's definitely very susceptible now to, you know, feel comforted by other people who go, "Hey, how you're being treated, it's not okay. And we can help you, and we'll make you feel safe. We'll make you feel better." And he might just find, I think this Rico character is going to be really cool going down the line, but I think is also going to draw Mateo into another world that is also going to pit him against Tiago even more.
Absolutely. Sorry. Any part of this scene, please. There's a lot.
Y'all probably gonna think I sound ridiculous, but a part of me, maybe like 20% of me, feels like Fly Rico isn't real. Like I feel like he might be. And I don't know if that's because I was taken aback that he really introduced himself as Fly Rico and not Rico. I was like, okay, this is in a hospital is not really the time for nicknames, if we're being honest. But I was thinking like it was just, I don't know, maybe it was like the confidence that he had to just kind of like stand up to 4 cops with a knife. Like you brought a knife to a gunfight and you are
exactly
still confident in what you are
He
saying.
didn't even
And
care.
part of me just,
Yeah.
a part of me just felt this kind of like immortalness about him. And I was like, maybe he's like kind of in a sense a guardian angel type of thing, but that's only 20% of me. Now the other 80% is just like, okay, maybe he's just like, you know, somebody who's also here because one of their family members or friends or loved ones is also in the hospital, and just kind of like relating to that sort of grief. And when you're in a hospital and everybody's feeling the same thing, it's kind of like you said, Adam, like we're all feeling the same thing. We have to stick up for each other in some sort of way, even if it's in a small type of, you know, because if you don't get a break to just sit and digest the grief, you have to deal with it in some type of way. And if that is sticking with each other to kind of like pull each other up in some, even if it's just standing up to 4 cops that's trying to poke your eye out, like you have to do something. So I'm kind of split, but I'm leaning more towards the latter.
It's crazy that like we all had 3 different perspectives. Like I feel like me and Cody saw like some spark, and then Adam saw like a brotherly thing, and then Tori saw like an angel. So like it's kind of interesting how they portrayed it, where we all saw something different, because I did not get brother or angel, but then I see where you're coming from too. So I'm like, interesting.
Yeah,
it was a cool moment.
I kind of agree with all of you. Like, Tori, like I kind of feel like he's so unreal, like to come in and like just pull a switchblade out and be to 4 white cops who like obviously this is a thing, and then they all just like back down. But at the same time, in the first episode, we hear Detective Lewis is like, "Oh, about that kid of yours, like elsewhere." So I feel like they definitely, I mean, that was something I really wanted to get into about this scene, was that the not Detective Lewis, the cop, what's his name? His name is Officer Riley and Rico. They obviously have some sort of relationship. Whether, I mean, define that however you want, but there's something there. Like obviously they know each other, and there's some sort of very strange dynamic for Officer Riley to be so racist and awful in every scene we've seen him to all of a sudden just back down. And then and then Brian, I totally agree. I felt there was so much sexual tension in that scene. Like, I don't know what's going on, but I like it. And then especially right, and then especially with Rico giving a little smooch to Officer Riley, I was like, Rico, oh my gosh. And then Adam, I totally agree. I think that I think, though, don't get me wrong, I like me some Rico. I think that Rico's going to be, it's going to be a new chapter, a new group, and I don't think it's going to be a positive influence on Mateo's life. So
No.
it's like I really see all of these things coming together, and it's going to unfold to be I think he's going to have a very dynamic character arc, at least hopefully, because that's what it seems like. And what did he say? He said, she's like, oh, you didn't yell. Where's the word? I wrote it
You didn't
down.
scream.
But you didn't scream. You're a bachuco. And I was like, okay.
I wanted to go into Google Translate and be like, what is Chuco? Like, I was like,
and it just
needed
means
to
like,
know.
it just meant like a gang member, right? Like it was, that's what I looked it up. It didn't have much specific except for like, Chicano, like gangster.
Oh, okay. Like you're a badass, maybe.
I think so, yeah. Like probably nowadays
Okay.
the slang would be different. But and then what also was crazy about this episode was we get a little more into this Nazi scene. Like we see, like I remember last episode I talked to you guys, I was like, I just felt like they threw the Nazis in, and that was like really just like too much whipped cream on top. But it kind of started making a little more sense this episode, and we see Detective Lewis is trying to figure out what's going on with that one Nazi guy, and he sends his friends off after they split off, and then his friends get brutally murdered.
Yeah,
and,
you knew that was coming. They're going up into the hills. Like, where's he going? I'm like, well, you're following him alone now, so you're dead.
Right? It was just like, you guys, yeah, he's going in the hills. You're really gonna just follow him up? Like, I was just like, it was like we could see that one coming so hard. But I wanted to hear your guys' insights on what's going on, how you feel about how you now are feeling about all these about this Nazi Third Reich thing going on. Like, Adam, please.
Oh man, well, you can never hate enough Nazis. So I don't know. The fact that they're still moving forward, and the fact that Councilman Townsend now, he was getting that haircut and doing the trimmers, and Mrs. Branson, played by the Angel of Death type character, when she was watching him get the clippers, I'm like, are they gonna give him like a Hitler stash? Is that why she's kind of like smiling?
Oh my gosh, maybe.
It seemed like, I just imagine it's gonna get like shorter and shorter and shorter. She was like, trim the mustache. I'm like, how short are they gonna trim this thing? So anyway, they didn't do it. They went with like, the cartoonish, but I'm prepared for a Hitler stash at some point. So mentally prepare yourself for that look, because once you see it, you can't unsee it. But yeah, I think it's definitely all progressing. Like what you said, there's like 8 different layers to this show. Like it's one thing if it's just like, oh, the Detective Vega family drama, and then they still got to solve this case, and then Nazis are trying to build stuff, and then this Angel of Death is trying to get everyone killed, and like there's a lot of layers to this whole thing. So yeah, that guy's still bad, and obviously they're gonna keep building. They're gonna build the motorway now. The fact too that he was holding up the officer's uniform, the bloodied uniform, that just felt like a very, it felt like hitting the nose with just where we are politically right now, where I was just like, I could see this happening now, where just someone takes someone's death and goes, look what happened because of these immigrants. Like I could see it happening. So it's yeah, this show is very, I think it's definitely got its finger on the pulse of like where we are right now, because I feel like that's, especially like living in Los Angeles and seeing part of like our history and where the city has come from. But yeah, Tori, what about you?
Yeah, I'm still trying to figure out why they are there, because I told you last episode, I was just like, I think like you said, Cody, it was just a lot of layering to the point where you're just like, okay, can we take a step back and let us like actually digest what's going on? Because the minute that you feel like you understand what's going on over here, it's like, oh, Nazis, wait, okay, what's going on? But I kind of, in a sense, I kind of like it, because it kind of keeps you on your toes. Like I said, just when you think that you're piecing it together and you understand the storyline and you identify who is killing everybody, it's like, wait, but don't forget about the Nazis over there. You have to remember that. So even though I haven't like pieced it together, and I'm not really sure how I feel about them throwing it in there, it definitely like keeps everybody engaged, because you have to keep like working to piece this thing together. It's almost like they're setting it up to where you can act as a detective in the episode as well.
Yeah.
Like you can kind of like figure out what's going on for yourself now that you see all the moving parts, even though all the characters can't see all the moving parts. You know what I mean? So
yeah.
I feel like I'm just gathering the evidence, and I still don't know what's going on.
For sure. Me too. I was just so shook when they were going up the hill, like you guys said. Like, I knew they were going to die. And obviously, there's only 5 minutes left in the episode. So I was like, okay, yeah, this is going to be a cliffhanger. They're going to be dead. I know it. And I saw it coming. But like Adam, you mentioned about the Councilman Townsend and the assistant I was talking about last week. I didn't realize it's played by the same person.
It's
Which
cool,
is
right? What a great role. What a great role.
So it's played by the German lady, and then she is Natalie Dormer from Game of Thrones. She also plays the other Angel of Death. So like she is playing the different roles, and I bring it up because I feel, oh yeah, for sure, amazing.
Yeah,
I feel like she's part of the Nazis. Like I feel like she is somehow involved with the Nazis because she has this like ear into Councilman Townsend, and she has this ear into Dr. Kraft. So I feel like she's gonna play a big role in the Nazi area. So I'm like nervous to see how that happens.
Yeah, and speaking of Dr. Kraft, she brings back her creepy baby, or not baby, but her kid again at the beach.
That was so scary.
And we see Frank again, and they play with the kids, and they have their little story. And we don't have to go too much into that because I feel like not a whole lot happened at the beach. But one thing that I did notice was that Dr. Kraft's kids, Trevor and Tom didn't like Frank.
No, Tom knew Frank was weird.
Yeah, Tom like caught on to that real quick, and I don't think the kids are going to be too much of like a plot twist, but Tom sees something that they're not seeing. I mean that we are seeing, but Tom's seeing it too. And then Frank was the one who he said the line that's the title of the episode, like, oh, dead people, which is dead people lie down. And Tom was like, excuse me.
Okay.
Yeah. Except I'm just trying to build my sandcastle.
Yeah. He said it like a freaking kid at a pet cemetery. He said it like very creepily. Like, dead people lie down. Like you? Yeah, I got it. Yeah, freak.
Very what is it? Sixth Sense? Yeah, very Sixth Sense.
Yeah.
Like,
Sixth Sense,
so
It was
creepy.
also very much, that was like a throwback to Elijah Wood looking at Macaulay Culkin in The Good Son. That's exactly what that felt like. Where this kid's like up to no good.
Right.
Great early 90s movie. Check it out.
Kids have a really good judgment of character, and they don't sugarcoat anything. So
Kids and
I
dogs.
kind of feel like it's not going to be a prominent thing, but I definitely think that like the son is going to say something maybe to like his mom, the doctor's wife, just like about it, just either like kind of saying that the kid is weird or that his dad has been like hanging out with like he's going to say something because kids don't hold back, and he also obviously thinks the kid is creepy, so he's probably going to do what he can to make sure he doesn't have to hang out with him again. I would have done that as a kid, like, Mom,
no more play dates.
No.
Well, I totally wanted to go off of what you just said, Tori, and I lost it. Anyway, I'll come back to me. But
I have something to add about a creepy moment,
please.
if you want. Well, just thinking about Dr. Kraft and then going into a creepy moment. We talked. I think I brought up last week how the show a little bit reminds me of Devil's Advocate. That like there's different stuff playing out, and something that definitely happened in the movie Devil's Advocate, starring Keanu Reeves, Al Pacino, and Charlize Theron, is a weird sex swap scene.
That was weird. That was so weird.
Which happened, right?
Oh, thank you,
Dr.
the wife.
Kraft,
That's who. Yes, you got there, Adam. Thank you. That's
having sex with his wife. She kind of looks off to the side, like you don't know where she is, and he touches her hair and it turns blonde. I'm like, oh no, it's gonna turn into the Nazi chick, and then she's gonna do something kinky and weird, and then he's gonna be like,
him. I was like,
yeah, scratched him. A Nazi scratched him. Whatever.
Right, and then she was like, "Don't ever do that to me again." I was like, "Wait, I'm so confused. Like, what did he do?
Right?
That was weird." Or she said, "Don't embarrass me like that again." I was like, "Oh, like I just like it got chills. It was so weird."
Well, I think
they're not going to talk about that
in that scene was because obviously I think that the Angel of Death has the power to do. I think she was there for Dr. Kraft. But I think maybe he must because we didn't see whatever made the wife so angry. So maybe he said something in the middle of that.
Exactly.
Maybe he said her name or
something
like, you know what I mean? Like
obviously he's like, I love being a Nazi, and then she got really weirded out
because I think even he was confused when she was like, "Don't ever embarrass me like that again." I think even he was like, "Oh,
he's lost.
Whoa, what just happened? I was in another place." So
he was like out of body experience. Yeah.
I'm very curious to see how his wife plays into things because even at the beach, she was like, "Oh, her complexion, she can't be in the sun," and he always has an excuse for her. And I'm wondering what her actual role is.
Yeah,
but we'll get there.
Oh, we'll get there.
And but we have more new people. We have to talk about Sister Molly.
Love her.
She is a riddle, wrapped in an enigma, wrapped in question marks. And let's just I won't say too much. Tori, like, how did Sister Molly in the church and her mother, Miss Adelaide, how did all of that settle with you?
I feel like I just keep saying stuff just gets weirder. Like every time you think we're at like max level, it's like throw in a song, throw in a singer. Like, why are we doing this? And so when we was first introduced, I was like, okay, wait, like, how is this gonna go? It's an interesting dynamic because you can definitely tell that like the daughter is more sheltered. She has this bodyguard that follows her everywhere, even when she's washing the dishes and stuff like that. And then her mom is clearly like in control. And the one thing that really caught my attention about this scene that I'm still kind of like, okay, what's going on, is when they were walking, I guess, like to the back of the church, I guess, and like the camera is just showing just these bags of money, just like everybody has money on each table. And I wasn't sure if they had like a book or anything. Like I wasn't sure if they were like selling something or if they were just counting the money and like recording, you know, how much they had. But I mean, like they just kept showing you, like the camera up until you got to the mom was just kept showing each table with just bags of money, just like stacks of cash. And I was just like, there's definitely something here. Like, I don't know if the church is maybe like cleaning money, like dirty money, or if it's just kind of, I didn't really know what the dynamic was, but I definitely think that's going to play into the mom and the daughter. I think something is going on while this money they're getting. It doesn't look clean to me.
Yes, for sure. I
Adam,
thought,
no, Brian, you're already talking. Please go.
Yeah, I was just going to say, jumping off of what Tori said with the bodyguard protecting, I was so weirded out when she was like, yeah, he's here to protect my virtue. I was like, oh my God, ew, I just cringed. Yeah. But I did love about her, I loved that entire exchange with Tiago. Like, I just felt that so much. And I felt like it's so weird, like they just met, but I felt like she really understood him, especially in that last encounter they had before the mom barged in. I felt like they really, really understood each other. So I love seeing that. I love seeing a different side of her because, you know, when she was introduced, you don't know what's going to happen, especially with this mother. You think she's going to be somebody bad, but I feel like she has this good layer to her, especially during those interactions with Tiago. So I want to see how she influences his storyline, and then how she kind of messes with everybody else's.
Heck yeah, I see that. How about you, Adam?
Well, shout out Sister Adelaide, played by Amy Madigan, who's amazing. She's in Field of Dreams, and let's see, Gone Baby Gone. She's the sister with, I think, the sister-in-law to Amy Ryan, the daughter that gets kidnapped. She's incredible. And to have her do something, and then her daughter, there were two things that I thought. First off, Detective Vega's totally falling in love with Sister Molly because she's, you know, she's a virgin, she's virtuous, she's completely untouched by everything bad happening around them, right? Which leads me to believe two things. Yeah, allegedly. One, I think she's directly involved somehow because she is part of the church. Somehow she's involved with this murder, the Hazlitt family, who was a regular parishioner there, and she said, you know, we don't get too close to them. Or two, she's probably gonna die. Something at some point, because it's too good. Detective Vega, he's feeling hope with her. She's reminding him about humanity, and she talks about the story with the man with the iron lung and how she prayed for him and how she was there, but he still died, but she still went and she still cared. And you can tell Vega is really wrestling with, why are we doing all these things if certain people are just going to die or certain people are just going to be bad? What's the point? Why even try to help them? But she's definitely involved somehow, but it's really gonna, I just feel like at the end, he's gonna finally feel happy. But if shows like Game of Thrones or Walking Dead have taught us anything, the second you have hope, you die. So.
Well, what was so interesting about his interaction, about Detective, Santiago's interaction with her, is when he's asking her questions, I feel like some of her answers are very telling. Like when he asks you, oh, how do you know what makes you think he's such a tall man? Or then he just asks very interesting little questions. And then she actually completely contradicts what Sister Adelaide's answers were with Detective Lewis. When Sister Adelaide was like, oh, like, we don't interact with our parishioners. Like, we don't know them. He works here. He works with the money. That's all she says. We don't talk to them. But then her daughter's like, oh, we went to dinner with them 2 years ago. And parishioners get attached. So I think that it's a very muddy situation between Sister Molly and Sister Adelaide and whatever happened with that family. And I do agree that there must be some sort of connection between that murder. And this goes in a little more to a little bit more toward predictions, but there's a lot going on, and oh my gosh, and from the moment Detective Santiago saw her, I was like, he loves her. It's a love story. Because before she goes on to sing, she looks very upset. She looks very sad and very like she didn't want to be there, and then she has to put on this mask of like, I'm the happy singer for this big mega church. And so there's a huge, she's going to be a big unraveled development in this story. And then what Tori said with the money, I think whether it's like dirty money or they're stealing from like the collection bin, like they are not
the one that goes around in the pew.
seriously. And like we're not seeing the end of them, because even Detective Lewis was like, they're trying to write us off. They got something to hide. So there's a lot going on there for show. But on a bit of a happier note, Tori, please take us into our special segment.
Yes. So our special segment on this show, on this after show, is that we share our rose and thorns of the week. Your rose is just something that has helped you get through the week, and the thorn is something that wasn't, as pleasant, or maybe something that was holding you back. It can be a person, place, or thing. There are no restrictions here, because this is a show where anything could happen. You never know who's coming around the corner. So, Adam, why don't you start us off with your rose and thorn?
Rose and thorn for this week. Interesting. I'm not really, I'd say my rose was, I'm noticing now I'm FaceTiming more with my family than I did before. We're like communicating and talking a lot more. I feel like because that's more important now. And so like every weekend is turning into talking and seeing family, and feeling really good about when I put down my phone now, and like just getting back to relationships and talking more to people. I think the thorn maybe is just realizing I'm still very fortunate to work for a nonprofit theater in Los Angeles, the Geffen Playhouse, and just realizing that for theaters coming back, theaters everywhere, we're probably going to be in the final stages of any state, as they look to reacclimate to what normal is. Crowd size over 100 is definitely going to be interesting. So sometimes you feel good because you're like, oh, we're still moving forward, we're doing everything, but then you still get hit with this reality of, when are we going to be able to be in a group of more than 100 people again? When is a concert going to happen again? How is that? People with masks, people who don't even, believe in wearing masks, or, how do you put that all together? So I think, it's been a good week though, but honestly, I think just reconnecting and talking to a lot of family is really helping. It's making me feel a lot better.
Yeah.
Brian, what about you?
Yay. My rose was, I actually work in social media, so I had an interview today for another job, which fingers crossed for that. So that was fun. I felt like I did really well. Thank you. My thorn is that my birthday is May 11, and I came to the realization recently that we will be at home on my birthday. So I was like so sad about that. I wanted to throw it back in WeHo, but I guess I'm not doing that. So we will see what happens. But yeah, that's kind of my rose and thorn. Just hoping for what's gonna happen next, but sad that my birthday is gonna be in here.
We'll definitely have to find a way to celebrate. Cody,
yes,
what about you?
Yes.
Zoom it.
My rose this week, I mean, it's kind of funny because of the quarantine. Like I've been slowly meeting more and more of my neighbors. And so a couple of them I've gotten close with in the last like few weeks. So that's been my rose. And it was like, we're in the same building. We hung out the other night, only a few of us. It wasn't like we're having a party, but like, it was just nice to like have a glass of wine with like my neighbors and like get to know each other. So that was like, it's kind of like a nice, like a literal flower coming out of all this disparity. And then,
sure.
well, not literal, I guess a figurative flower, but, and then my thorn, I don't know. Honestly, I mean, this might be a little too heavy, or not too heavy, but it's just heavy. A few weeks ago, I lost one of my friends unrelated to coronavirus.
I'm sorry.
That's just, and it's just been, so the last month, 3 weeks have just been kind of tough. So that's really just been the thorn that I've been dealing with. But I'm just, like I said, meeting new people, been working with you guys, doing all this has been really nice. So it's nice to be busy and be healthy.
Yeah. I think it's just like amazing that you're even able to push past that and join us in this after show, this virtual after show. I think that's amazing that you're able to, handle your emotions that way. I applaud you on that. But,
it's been a trip for sure.
Yeah, I can imagine. I think my thorn would be, I don't know, something about the new month. You kind of realize like how much time has passed and it's already May, like month 5 of the year, and kind of like, ooh, we almost halfway through the year and we're still in 5.
Right.
But not just, not just being inside, because that's not the worst, but just like we're in month 5 and there hasn't been a tremendous amount of progress, and you're realizing that people are affected every day, and it's just like you just kind of have that anxiety around it. But I think my rose is similar to Adam's, and it's just kind of, because this is the new normal, at least for now, I'm definitely finding new and creative ways to celebrate birthdays and celebrate graduations with my friends and things like that, because unfortunately we can't go outside, and I know that's like my go-to. Oh, we'll go out and celebrate, or I'll be at your graduation, or I'll come to your party. And it's like that's not an option right now. So I'm definitely like getting my creative juices flowing. Like, what can I do to still make the people around me know that they are loved, even though I can't physically be there? And I'm just like thankful that through this time it's forced me to do that, because sometimes we can't just always rely on what we know.
Absolutely. Heck yeah. Well, thank you, Tori. I love this segment, because it's just like,
I know.
it really like,
It's a good segment.
Yeah, it gets you to like, it's thought provoking, and it's like, what's good, what's bad, and like juxtaposition of like just being okay. Like, I really like this. This is good. And Brian, I think you have a little bit of news for us today.
I do. It's just some fun things to share. So, of course, this is a spin-off of the original Penny Dreadful, which happened from 2014 to 2016. So I just wanted to share, for those who are original fans of the show, according to the showrunner, it's actually going to be no correlation. So people were thinking we're going to get some tie-ins, some character drop-ins, that kind of thing, but there's going to be no correlation at all. The showrunner says that it's going to be a fresh start, brand new show. So we'll see what happens. I'm excited to see it. And real quick, while I'm here, I want to also shout out the chat. We have Taylor and ER's grandpa with us. Thank you so much for being here. You're amazing. We love you. We love this show. Can't wait to talk about it again with you next week.
Heck yeah. So you guys, before I want to go into predictions, but really quick, there were just two, actually, I'm going to say three little things in this show that I've noticed that I just want to know if maybe you guys have noticed it, or maybe you think it means something else. First of all, maybe about Detective Lewis. He always has a flask. And so I think he's either an alcoholic or a functioning alcoholic, or maybe it's just because it's the 1930s and it was just like, okay then. But it doesn't have to be like a huge thing, but if any of you have had any thoughts about how that might play out, please chime in. If not, it's just a little side thing that I noticed.
I only noticed it actually in that first encounter with Tiago. I didn't even know he had a flask until then. So interesting.
I just thought he was using it to cope with everything that comes with the job. I mean, he just got shot, so why not take a shot? Try to get over it. I don't know. I just noticed in movies like this, everybody has a flask.
Yeah, right. It's very noir of him to do. So
yeah.
As someone who used to have a steady IV of Jameson in my system, yeah, you say it just looks like he's just he's going through some stuff. He's dealing with. Yeah. I think it's also something too, this would be kind of terrifying if it just kind of became the norm to see swastikas start popping up on your beaches and just have people go, yeah, this is, and then they're also responsible for new construction and things that are happening in your country. And you can't really do anything about it legally. You can't just go kill them. You can't, you have to kind of play by the rule book. So you're kind of doing all that while the city is on fire and you're trying to figure it out. I feel like, yeah, you're gonna self-medicate as best you can. He's probably just a functioning alcoholic as good as he can be. But that'll probably blow up in a couple episodes. So good call.
Yeah, maybe he'll have.
It always does. You can't.
There'll be a point where it's too much, because even when in the first episode they go to the people who were murdered their house, and he just pours himself a glass of scotch. But,
yeah, that's his go-to.
And then similar, actually still going off of Detective Lewis, when they were walking out of the church, he started telling a story about like the Frenchmen and the Arabs, and they put all these bodies to like make it seem like they had a bigger. Do you guys remember what I'm talking about?
Beau Jest. That was the movie he was
Yes.
talking about, which
He's talking about
sounded like a very similar plot to El Cid, like the El Cid, the great movie where at the end the hero dies, but they don't want the Cid. They don't want the other army. I forget if it was the Turks or whoever it was. They didn't want them to think that he died, so they propped him up on a horse and just sent him out. And just the image of him coming out freaked out everybody. So the fact that they have all this, these dead soldiers up on the wall, I feel like that's definitely going to be your metaphor for how they're going to get out of something in the end.
Well,
What do
the
you
thing
guys
is,
think?
what I thought was so. This is because I honestly watched it a second time again. What was really crazy to me was that story that he was telling Detective Santiago was when at the beach when the kids are playing together, Trevor and Tom were telling Frank that same story, like, oh, these are the guys, and then he was like, oh, well, they should be dead because they should be laying down because they're dead. And so I don't know what to take from that, but it was just like a really weird correlation. I was like, whoa, these kids are talking about the exact same thing as this detective. And that was just something. I guess that was just something else.
The creepy dead kid. Yeah, he got it too.
The creepy dead kid.
We're also going to talk about the last moment of the show, which was eerily creepy.
Yes. Oh my gosh.
Thing.
Raul's resurrection.
Yes.
Like, oh my gosh. Which thank you. Which brings me. Well, let's talk about that, and then we can go into predictions. So please, Brian, tell us what you thought about Raul's mom summoning the spirit of the dead, and then
Santa Muerte, right? Yeah.
Thank you, Santa Muerte, and then bringing back her son. Who? Anyway, you talk instead of me.
Well, I knew he was coming back because, like I said last week, he's billed for 8 episodes, so I knew he would be back, dead or alive somehow. So apparently, it's alive or a little bit of dead. It was definitely interesting to see him come back like that. I thought he was just gonna kind of wake up, or come back healthier, but obviously it's kind of supernatural, so it's kind of going into that ghostly like zombie kind of vibe, Frankenstein even almost. So we will see what happens with that. But yeah, I was just shook when he came back and he was like in his mom's face. I was like, oh no, girl, not the mother. She was on her knees praying for you for like 2 days. Like, get it together.
Right? It was really scary. Tori, what did you think about that?
It was just so creepy, and I am tired of the goddess of less dead, whoever she is, popping up. It just scared me, and I kind of feel like we end the episode? Not end, but like this kind of was seen in the last episode toward the end, and I was like, you know what? How many times are y'all gonna have this lady popping up in these dark rooms? Because it's starting to freak me out a little bit, and so I'm just kind of wondering. Honestly, it made me wonder, like, if we're ever going to see like a real interaction between the mom and the goddess of less death. I keep calling that, that's our name. Just like a real one, because she clearly, like, the mom has this like unwavering faith into this goddess, and she keeps calling on her. And I don't know if, like, I kind of thought that maybe the goddess of less death is going to like ask the mom to do something in return, or if she's going to like keep popping up and doing her, I don't want to say doing her favors, but like, just providing for her, or if there's going to be some sort of like, I did this for you, now you're going to do this for me type of thing.
Yeah. Adam.
Yeah, plus two, I felt, again, it's like a Pet Cemetery vibe, or like when they bring back Drogo from the dead in Game of Thrones, like you bring them back, but they're not going to be the same, or they're going to be kind of like a zombie, or kind of doing whatever, or they're going to be a servant for whoever brought them back. So, sorry, I just had to switch off the thing here, but yeah, I don't think it's good. And I think when you mess with that stuff, the Mama Maria knows what she's doing. So I think she wants her boy back, but I don't think she got her boy. And I think we're going to find out and see, episode 3 here, exactly who came back.
Yeah. So the kind of, off of what you're saying, and then a little bit going into the prediction, I think that Raul's going to be, like a zombie or something. I don't want to say a zombie, but he's not going to be all there. It's going to be really weird and gnarly, his role in the show going forward, because it doesn't seem like it was like, oh, she took him out of this coma. It was like, no, he disappeared from his bed and showed up in the hallway and then like popped upstairs. Very American Horror Story, in my opinion.
Yeah,
And just like
kind of Ryan Murphy vibe to it.
I think he's going to be a shell of who he used to be. And then prediction wise, I think that Santiago and Sister Molly are definitely going to have a thing. This is my prediction about the initial murder. It seems like it has to do with Miss Adelaide and Sister Molly, but a part of me thinks it's the Angel of Death, not with the son, but the British gal. I think it's just like the obvious answer in our face. So I'm predicting that it's just like the obvious thing is like, oh, the Angel of Death killed them. That's my thought. I did think it was Raul last episode. So we'll see how it goes. But now I'm going on a new path. But Brian, what do you think? Anything prediction wise?
Really quick, I don't know if this makes sense, but I feel like they're trying to make us feel like Sister Molly is up to no good. But I feel like they're gonna swerve us, and actually she is up to good. Like she's normal. Like if that makes sense. Like I feel like they do this whole thing where you're like, you think she's good, you think she's bad, but in the end she actually is presenting, like straight presenting. Like she's like presenting who she really is, and she's good. So
yeah. Adam, how about you?
I think it's going to get a little crazier. I think Vega's going to definitely fall for Sister Molly. I think they're going to try to solve the case. I think Lewis is going to get closer to the construction Nazi. And I feel like we're going to feel out what's going on with zombie Raul. I mean, there's a lot of hybrids happening now. So I don't know. I think it's all getting more supernatural. It like started in a weird place, but I feel like it's going to keep expanding. They got to solve this murder. I feel like as soon as they solve the murder, they'll figure out who set up everything.
Oh, yeah.
It's all connected to the same person.
And Tori, any thoughts on the future?
I think that the doctor's son is going to say something. I just feel it. Like kids just don't have a filter. I feel like he's going to say something. And I also think that the race war is just going to heighten. Honestly, this is kind of starting to play out like a creepy West Side Story type of thing. So I know this is going to blow up in the end. But yeah, you never know.
Absolutely. Yeah, I see it all happening. Like I think we know where this is going. We just don't know how it's going to get there. And it's I mean, granted, we're only in episode 2. Like I think we have like a good 6, maybe 8 more. And yeah, I'm excited. But before we sign out, please let the viewers, the listeners who we are so thankful for and love, please tell them where they can find you, Tori.
You guys can find me on Instagram at Toxic Model or on Twitter at Tori with 2 E's. You can check out some of my articles on our website and some of the other after shows that I'm on.
Heck yeah. Adam, how about you?
Hey guys, Adam Carr here. Just want to remind you to check out on YouTube and Instagram, Horribly Hollywood Singles, some of the worst dating stories told by some of the best guests in Hollywood. Just shot a brand new one today.
You have a special guest you want to miss.
Heck yes, I love to hear that. And you can find me on Instagram at Cody Epp, CODYYEPP, or Twitter at Cody_Epp. Thank you all for watching. Thank you for listening. Thank you guys for being here to talk to me about this, because listening to me notice these tiny little weird things that anyway, thank you guys. I'm so excited to see y'all next week at 7 o'clock to talk about episode 3.
Woohoo! Our founder, Kevin Undergaro, and me, Maria Menounos, would like to thank you for tuning in to AfterBuzz TV. Remember, we're not just the first, we're the biggest in the world, and we're the only destination for all your favorite TV shows. Whatever you crave, we've got it. So go to AfterBuzzTV.com and check out our lineup. Buzz you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.